Okay, so for today's lesson, if you did not join us for the live Zoom, you are doing this one on your own. Everybody should be sending me a photo of their artwork so I can load it onto Art Sonia, and so that way I can see and give you feedback on your work. So what you're going to do is you're going to get a white piece of paper and a pencil to start. You're going to need your oil pastels and your watercolor paint for this. I'm going to start right now by making a very light pencil mark of a hill at the bottom of my page. The reason why I'm doing it very light is because it will show up with watercolor paint, so I don't want it to be there forever. Then I'm going to make the shape and outline of my gingerbread house. So I'm going to start by making 2 lines that kind of go up on a diagonal here on my hill. 1 and 2. This is for the bottom part of the house, and then they're going to join together. And I like to make a point where I want them to join to make the triangle roof. The lighter you write, the easier it will be to erase your lines later. At the top of the house, I am going to make a bumpy line. This is going to be snow, or if it was a gingerbread house, it'd be frosting. So I'm going to have this part be colored in white with my pastel in a minute. And I also want to have like some of that coming down inside the roof here, just like an icicle would do on a house. Okay, I'm going to add a chimney to my house here. And again, I'm going to add a frosting layer that we're going to color. I am going to kind of just give like a rough outline of a door, and I'm making a curved line for my door here, arch, and I'll make a handle. We can decorate our doors and stuff later, again with oil pastel or with our paint. And then I'm going to give windows. And if I want the windows to be out of icing, again, I will do that with white oil pastel. I like to put like a gumdrop here, or like one of those swirly peppermint candies probably. Maybe I'll do a candy canes on the side of the house. This is where you can be creative because you're making a gingerbread house, so you can decide how you want to add your candies or decorations to the house. You can do yours like mine, or you can create your own gumdrops here. Those are really nice and colorful. It'll add a lot of detail. I'm going to put some gumdrops up here as well. Now that I have my drawings finished, I am going to use my oil pastel to create the blocking part or for my paint. So that way I don't color anything that's supposed to be white, anything but white. So I'm going to use my white pastel and I'm going to color in where I want the frosting, white icing frosting cup part to be. You could also outline your entire picture with your Sharpie marker, your permanent marker, if you would like to. Or you can wait until the end when it is dry to do that, but we can't use a Sharpie marker when we have a wet painting. So do not do it at the same time as your wet painting. You want to press a little bit harder when you're coloring in with your white so it will really actually block the paint. That's what we want to happen right now. And I got the white icing here. The rest of my picture, I believe I'm going to paint. I might not even color in this whole hill because it's going to stay white down here. So I'm just going to make an outline so it kind of helps block. All right, so now I'm switching to my watercolor paint. I am going to use the brushes just like we have at school where there's water in the handle, but you can just use a regular brush with a cup of water and your watercolor palettes that you have at home with you in your art bags. All right, so let's start with our house. I'm going to use brown for for my paint. So remember, when I do this, I have to make a little pile of water. You also need to do the same. And I'm going to start by adding a light layer of brown. We're going to add some value to this, meaning dark shadows and light shadows. But to start off, I'm just going to paint the whole thing brown. Okay, so once we have the entire house with just a regular flat coat of brown paint, now we're going to take brown and we're going to maybe even use like a little bit less water. We're going to add shadow where all these gumdrops are. So we're going to make a darker area down here at the bottom of the house and towards the side where I have my candy cane. And to blend it up, you just kind of use just water to blend that up. And I'm gonna do the same thing on this side. As you can see, I already kind of did. I have a darker area here at the bottom of my house. As I move away from that, I get lighter. Okay, now we're gonna add shadow underneath this dripping icing. Just like this. So I have another darker area. I'm just using my brown again. I'm not mixing any new color or anything like that. I'm just adding more water when I pull away so that it gets lighter, and less water right where I want the shadow to be. Like so. All right, so now I have a shadow area on my house. All right, we're gonna move on. And remember, wipe off your brush between colors before we switch. Inside my windows, I'm gonna do like a yellow tone, like the lights are on inside this house. I will do something for those window pane lines. If I'm gonna trace this with Sharpie when it dries, I might just leave them right now. If I want them to look like a candy cane, or if I want them to look like icing of some sort, I'm gonna do that once it's dry with my oil pastel. So right now all I'm doing is just going to paint in here yellow. And then I can decide a color for my door. And the white area that's here is my icing, and I blocked it with that oil pastel, so it's not going to flow into that area. Again, the doorknob is probably a detail I will add with oil pastel later. I'm gonna continue to fill in my door with red. I wanted to add a shadow again, so underneath this icing, I'm going to just use a little bit less water and build my red up. And here at the bottom as well, where the hill of snow is. All right, gumdrops are all different colors. So since I already have red on my brush, I'm gonna pick like one to be red over here. I might pick some to be red up here on the roof as well. And I'm gonna continue to fill in the gumdrops with just flat color. Your gumdrops, is important to remember to not do a color right next to one you just did, because the two colors will bleed into each other. So I'm skipping around. That's why I'm leaving blank spots in between my different gumdrops, so that way that one can have a second to dry before I fill in with another color. So now I'm filling in any of the extra detail candies and stuff like that. I have not done my chimney yet. We're gonna do that next. And I have not done my background yet. That will be our last step. So you see, as you can see, I filled in my candy canes. I did my peppermint candy that's up here on the top of the house. And now for my chimney, I'm gonna go back to brown again. And that is getting kind of dark, so I'm going to spread it out here. And then we have our snowy top up there. So I'm going to just give a little bit of shadow to the snowy top. So I'm going to take a little bit of blue up here and add that. And then we're going to make some of those blue shadows on the sides of the house right here on the edge of our frosting. Remember, we did put a blocker on the actual frosting, so we cannot paint in that anymore. All right, now I'm going to add smoke or whatever you would have for a gingerbread house coming from my chimney. So I'm going to make some swirl lines with my blue here. Like so. For the background, I'm going to take my blue again, and I'm going to kind of just start at the edge, and I'm going to blend with lots of water. We're just going to add a light colored background over here. So I'm just now using just my water. You can see as I push on the edge of my paintbrush to fill up our snowy kind of sky. We want it to be really light. We only did a little bit of blue at the top. And then if I run out of blue, I can add it to the edge again, and then just continue with just water to blend into the rest of the sky. And do the same thing on this side. I'm kind of avoiding my swirls I just did here. The idea is that we're adding a little bit of blue, but we're not giving it too much color. Now, if I want to give a little bit of shadow to my hill down here, all I'm going to do is just add a little bit of blue down on the sides, maybe a little bit right underneath my house, like that. Now I'm going to use my oil pastel to outline some important details. My oil pastel, now I'm outlining my windows with red, like they're licorice. But you can also use your oil pastel, or I mean your black Sharpie marker to outline if you'd like to, instead of oil pastel. This is just how I would like to do it. I'm going to add a color for my doorknob here. I'm also going to outline it. Maybe add a little outline around the door. And my candy canes, so they look more complete, like that. And there you have your watercolor gingerbread house. Please send me a photo of your work when you are done, and I will get those loaded onto your Art Sonia account.